Thank you for watching the UHSRA Timer's Handbook of Instructions. If you plan to time, please try to time the whole rodeo. If for some reason a change must be made, never quit in the middle of an event. Secretaries do have the options of getting different timers for different events, which is fine, but please never quit in the middle of an event. We need to stay consistent for the contestants in that event. Please plan to be at the timing box at least 30 minutes before the start of the rodeo. This will give you ample time to make sure your equipment is working. Please check your equipment, make sure that it is set and properly working before each event. Recheck the timer box between each contestant to make sure it's working for everyone. Talk with your fellow timers and decide who will time rough stock, who will use the timer's box with the automatic horn, and who will use the backup watch with the whistle, so you'll all be ready to go when the competition starts. It's very important that you look around, look at your surroundings, make sure you can see where the barrier flag and the field flag judge are located. Your eyes need to watch from flag to flag. Don't try to watch the event, watch the flags. Sometimes this gets distracting and it's hard when you see something happen in the arena, but if you focus and concentrate yourself on watching flag to flag, that's when you'll get the most consistent times for the kids. If you can't see, please speak up. Please have your announcer announce if there's people in the way. Your judges may be standing in the way. You maybe have horses in the way. Speak up and let them know that you can't see the barrier flags. Be ready and alert for each contestant. Once you've started your timer, never reset it. Even if the animal stalls or goes back in the chute or escapes, please don't reset your timer until the judge drops his flag. Your eyes are looking flag to flag. You're going to start and stop your time on flag to flag. You need to know the rules and time limits for the events you'll be timing. In the high school events, the rough stock has an 8-second time limit. The average timed events have a 30-second time limit with a 1-minute time limit only at state finals. Remember that the penalties are added on after the 30 seconds. Don't add the penalties into their time to equal the 30-second time limit. They could have a time of 29 seconds and a penalty would be added on after that. That's still a valid time. Barrels and poles do not have a time limit. Junior high events are bull riding 8-second time limit, bareback and saddle bronc steer riding a 6-second time limit, and the average timed events are the same as high school with a 30-second time limit and 1 minute only at state finals. Again, penalties are added on after the 30 seconds, and barrels and poles do not have a time limit.
Hi, today we're going to be talking about the rough stock events for the junior high and high school rodeo. For your rough stock events, you're going to need to be setting up a buzzer and a timer box to be able to run up at the announcer box. To set up your buzzer, you're simple 2 steps. 1 is you're plugging into your electricity. 2 is you're taking this and plugging it in here where it says horn. Plug it in, the buzzer's ready to go. Now we need to set up our timer box to be able to run the buzzer. With our timer box, you're going to need to put the setup button, hit the enter, and then hit next choice. Now with next choice, you're looking in this window box and you're going to hit next choice until it says bull riding. Then you will hit enter again. It will say done, 8 seconds on bull ride. That is ready to go to run the buzzer. Now you're going to be looking at the chute and you're going to be watching for a flagman. The flagman is going to start you to push the black start button to run the buzzer. So when you're watching the flagman and the flagman drops the flag, hit the black start button. That'll run the buzzer and it runs itself. You do not have to stop. Okay, now once the buzzer's done, you can look out and watch for the judges to come up with a score. If your contestant bucked off, you can just put a no NS for a no score, or you get your score from the judges. Now, what you're writing down is unofficial because the official score comes from the judges' sheets that are turned into the office, and they're finalized when the secretary finalizes that judges' sheets. But the announcer can announce the score or the no score, and then continue for your next contestant. Now when you're ready for your next contestant, your timer box is set and ready to go. You do not have to do anything else. Just go and watch your flagman and be ready to push the black start button when the contestant starts again. and then you'll repeat yourself for the next contestant again. Hi, we're going to be talking about the timed events and the average time that we take with the time events. First thing we're going to want to do is you're going to need to set up your boxes for your time. To set up the timer box, you will do the setup, enter, and next choice. Now in this window, you'll keep pushing the next choice until it says average. When it says average, you will hit enter. Now what you've done is you've just set up this box to run 2 times. One off of the box with the green button and one off of the black start button. Now you're going to have 3 timers up in the box. You'll have your secretary, your timer 1, and your timer 2. Your secretary is just going to be writing the average time on their sheet. Timer 1 is going to be running the main box with the black start button, and timer 2 is going to be running the box with the green button. Now when it comes time to start, you're going to have 2 flags. You're going to have a flag on the barrier, and you're going to have a flag with the judge in the field. You're going to be watching your barrier flag to start with. And then you will go, once you start that, you will go to your flag judge and watch him to end your time. So to start your time, timer 2 is going to be holding this in their hand, and timer 1 will be ready at the black button. So as that flag is dropped from the barrier, you both will start your times. Now you go to the field judge, watch his flag. When he drops his flag, you again both will push your button, and that will stop your time. At that point, you have an average time down here, up here. That 7.35 is the average from the timer 2 and timer 1. Now both timer 1 and timer 2 times are down in this box. Each timer will need to write their individual time on their sheet under timer 1 or timer 2. Timer 1 will place their time here, and if there's any penalties, there you watch for your judge, field judge, and they will let you know if there's a penalty, or the barrier judge will let you know if there's a barrier penalty. Timer 2 places their time. Now for the secretary, they will just put any penalties if there's any received, and the average time will be placed. Again, timer 1 only puts timer 1 time down, timer 2 only puts timer 2 time down, and the secretary puts the average time. You can all place the penalties on your sheet, and the secretary will add the penalties into their total time. Now, when you're ready to go to the next contestant, everything is set and ready to go. Back to the flag at the barrier, you watch the barrier flag, and again, you will start your button with timer 1 and timer 2. As the flag drops, push your button. Now you go to the field judge. When the field judge drops his flag, push your button. Then again, there's your average time. You have your timer 1 and your timer 2 times. Put them on your timer sheets, and you're ready to go for the next contestant. Without any question or any doubt, always watch your judges for any penalties that will be received, from the barrier penalty to the field. And on team roping, you will have a barrier penalty or a field penalty, and your sheets have a penalty 1 and a penalty 2, so you can have your 10 seconds or your 5 seconds depending on what the penalties are assessed, to be able to put them on your sheets. Always watch your judges, always be ready flag to flag. That is your start and your stop point. Okay, we're going to talk about what happens if one of the timers miss starting or stopping their time. Now when you're timing with the timer box and the timers go to start with the flag, if we have a timer, say you both start at the same time, but then when you go to stop, one stops before the other, your box is going to show an error. It's going to have still the 2 times, but there was a big enough difference because one did not stop correctly that it creates the error. So at that point, timer 1 or timer 2 that did not stop correctly needs to speak up, say just take the other timer's time, mine is incorrect. Then the timer 1 will take their time and put it on their sheet. Timer 2, if that's the one that had the incorrect stop, will just put missed. And then the secretary will take timer's 1 time as the average time, and that'll be the official time. We will not try to average a time when there's an error. Always use the accurate time for that contestant, because that contestant is what counts. Okay, for today we're going to be talking about your barrel racing and pole bending for junior high and high school rodeo. In your barrel race and a pole bending, you're going to be running electric eyes and have 2 hand timers. You're going to have your secretary running the electric eye and your hand timer 1 and timer 2 with hand timer back for the backups. Now the judges are going to have the electric eyes out in the arena, and they're going to be getting with you to set up your timer. Now to set up your timer, you do your setup box, your enter, and hit next choice until it says barrel racing, and then hit enter. Now you're ready to check with the judges, and when they've got the electric eyes set up, they're going to run a test run, and then when they stop it and to make sure that it is set up. That tells you that the electric eyes. Also, another thing to tell you if the electric eyes are set up is down here in the box, if it has a number 1 in it, that means the electric eyes are set up. If there is an X, that means they are not lined up correctly. That's something to kind of watch for, to help keep an eye that nothing gets these electric eyes out of sync. Now when the barrel racer's getting ready to run, the secretary will be running the timer box, which is strictly off of their barrel racers running past and forth of the electric eye. Your timer 1 and timer 2 will be your backup timers, and they'll be watching the flaggers that are at the start of the barrels and poles. So from flag to flag, you will be watching them as they start them, and you will be stopping it as they stop them, as they go by. Now on your timer sheet, the secretary will put in the time from the electric time, and if there's any penalties, it's 5 seconds per barrel or 5 seconds per pole, and then they'll have the total time. Timer 1 will write only their hand time in the timer 1 box. They can put down any penalties and have their time, and timer 2 will write only their time, and they can have the penalties and put their time. The official time will be from the timer box unless there was an error, and then they will take the 2 times, the secretary will take the 2 times, average them, and put the official time from the average onto her sheet. Then again, you're ready to go on for that next rider. Again, watch the timer box. If it has the number 1 in, the eyes are lined up. Timer 1 and timer 2, be ready on the flag at the beginning of the start from the judge to start when the judge drops the flag and stop when the judge drops the flag again. And then you're ready, put down your times, and you're ready for your next contestant after that.
You need to remember that your eyes go from flag to flag. In the case that an animal escapes the arena, the flagman will drop his flag. Do not anticipate this if you can see it from the corner of your eye. Just watch the flagman and stop your watch at the flag, then record your time. Always write down a time if you get it from flag to flag. If the contestant takes a rerun, then what's called a lap and tap will happen. The judges will flag the start and stop of the rerun. You would add the previous time you had already recorded to the lap and tap time and record the total of the 2 times together. If this time is longer than the time limit for that event, excluding penalties, the contestant will receive a no time. If you miss starting your stopwatch or start or stop it early or late, please immediately and discreetly declare yourself and use the other timer's time. If both timers miss a time, do not hesitate to call the field judge to the announcer stand and tell him. This really is every timer's nightmare, but the judges and the contestants will respect you more if you admit a mistake than try to hide it. It only takes hundredths of a second to make a difference in a contestant qualifying for state finals or national finals, and you wouldn't want it to happen to your contestant. So please try to be honest and declare if you miss a time. We're not perfect, and it happens, but we can make the best of a bad situation by being honest and fair. Never stop your stopwatch until the flagman waves the contestant out. Even if it's obvious that the contestant has missed, you do not stop your stopwatch until the flagman signals to you. Marking your timing sheets. Always write the time down from your timer, even if the contestant gets a no time. Try to write the time if the judge dropped his flag. If there is a no time, then draw a line through your time and mark NT in the total column. Still record the penalties. Timer 1 needs to only write timer 1's time in the timer 1 column. Write the penalties in the penalty column. Mark no times as an NT in the total column. Timer 2 only writes the time in timer 2 column. Write the penalties in the penalty column. Mark no times as NT in the total column, and you can also put the line through your time in the timer column. The secretary will write the average time, which is the time average between timer 1 and timer 2, or the clock for barrels and poles, in the secretary column. The secretary will also write penalties in the penalty column. Then she will write the total score in the total column. If there is a no time, draw a line through the time in the secretary column and write NT in the total column. We've been asked about secretaries doing a second backup watch for a backup time. We don't want this to happen for a couple of reasons. One, we want everybody to stay consistent with what they're doing. It's better if everybody has their own job to focus on. Timer 1 focuses on their job of writing only their time. Timer 2 focuses on only their job. The secretary focuses on the one job of just getting the average time down and the penalties and writing the total for both. The second reason why we don't want her using a backup time is that if there was a missed time, the timer 1 and timer 2's timing abilities would be different than the secretary's time anyway. Even though we're only talking hundreds of seconds, everybody starts and stops at their own time. That's why we think it's important to stay timing the whole event, and that way we can be consistent. The timing truce. We truly thank you. Your job is the most important to the competitors. Their fate relies on your honesty and integrity. Concentration is the key word to good timing. Remember to relax between competitions. Stand up, stretch your legs, stretch your arms, get a drink. This is also the best time to use the restroom. If you do need to use the restroom during competition, it is okay to take a quick break as long as you let the announcers know so they can tell the judges you will be holding up for a minute. Never let your fellow timer influence your performance. Some people like to compare times. This really makes no difference as long as you're being consistent with what you're doing. Never use your cell phone while you are timing. It is an unfair distraction to the contestants. Timing a rodeo should be enjoyable, but excessive loud talking or laughing can be very annoying and distractive to the announcers, timers, and other officials. Some people have a harder time focusing, so please be courteous and considerate of others in the booth. Always strive to start and stop your watch with the barrier or the judges' flags at the exact time. Try to stay focused. Try to be consistent. Finally, always know you are so appreciated. The show truly can't go on without you. Thank you for your dedication to the great youth of the UHSRA.